My name is Matt Schellenberg, and I currently represent City Council District 6. And first of all, I want to thank the First Coast Tea Party for giving me this opportunity to speak to you through the video. I ran for office because of all the taxes that were implemented many years ago. And I promised to the constituents of District 6, first thing I was going to do is build trust, and that's what I've done. I told them I would take a 5% pay cut. I have continued to take a 5% pay cut in my fee and the salary I get at City Council. In addition, I also told them I wouldn't take the pension, and that is still true. I am in the 401 equivalent for Jacksonville. But most importantly, I have not raised taxes for Mandarin or for the city of Jacksonville as a whole, nor fees. And I also, during this brief period of time, I've been able to save and been leader in saving substantial amounts of money for the city. In going self-insured for health, this could potentially save the city between $5 and $8 million. And it also gives us the flexibility to actually do some telemedicine, which would save additional dollars. Another area I've saved money, which is very apparent, is I led the effort to move supervisor of election from the current decrepit area at Gateway to a brand new facility, and the city will be saving close to $400,000 a year. One final note, I've been very pleased that I have not used general funds. I found some lobby money, which is mitigation money, and I've allocated $200,000 to each district. And because of that, I was able to marry up with the other associations in our parks and basically double those monies to improve the parks in each of those areas, improving the tennis courts, nets, baseball fields, almost everything else. And finally, and most importantly, I was able to jumpstart the movement of the historic schoolhouse from a private residence to Walter Jones Park. And this is substantial historical value, and I am pleased to be able to say with great pride, thank you very much for the Jacksonville Historical Society and the city for being able to work together to bring that history to Mandarin. Thank you.
Reports say Jacksonville has a $2.5 billion deficit in pension funds. Jacksonville taxpayers cannot pay to bail out or to continue to pay these shortages. What solutions do you propose?
I think that's one of the most important issues facing us, and it's been facing us for over 14 years. In fact, other than taxes being raised and why I won, pension was my #1 priority. I've been looking at this, and I've been begging the administration to do something because this needs to be done. When I came into office, the problem was $90 million for the pension, only for the fire and police, and now it's $160 million, and it goes up from there. I think that what we need to do, we don't need to raise taxes. I think we need to be a little bit more responsible about how we're spending the money. Two things are important. Number one is the current proposal before us is not very good for current employees, and it's a disaster for future employees. It's not comparative to other cities and counties throughout the state of Florida as well as Georgia. What we need to do is regroup and get a deal that is substantial financially as well as give us stability going forward. Now, how to pay for it? I think what we need to do is look outside raising taxes. The money that, right now, I'm going to give you some numbers. Current obligation for current employees is $30 million. We spend $130 million unfunded liability. This is unsustainable. I believe when you do a budget of $1 billion and you look at all the opportunities, and the priorities are public safety, public works, parks and recs, and library, there's other areas in which we can cut to come up with the money to go forward. I suggested a kind of novel idea, and I think it's going to work. I don't believe that the deal the mayor struck with JEA is viable. But how about this? Our electric rates are about, over the course of everybody, residential corporations, about $300 million more than if we just had FPL. Why don't we sell JEA? We can sell JEA and take care of the unfunded liability going forward. These are the thoughts and thinking outside the box that we need to do. It is not always, let's go ahead and tax the taxpayers. This is not reasonable. Raising the millage rate 1%, it will not get us out of the problem. You would have to think of it this way, raise the millage rate 2%, not only to pay for the police, But get out of the status quo where you are. We raise the millage rate, 1. That means my roads don't get repaved. They don't get fixed up. We are in a bottleneck, and leadership on the city council, which I have provided over the last 4 years, as well as a change of leadership and administration, we can work together to solve this problem without raising taxes at this point in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Duval taxpayers continue to struggle paying high taxes and fees. What ideas to actually reduce taxpayer payments do you have?
One of the things I should have mentioned earlier is I have a business I've owned for 24 years, and this is after I've owned several other businesses, but this is the business that I've owned for 24 years. And in that business, I meet between 400 and 600 people moving into Duval County or Northeast Florida every year. And I can tell you, they love the city of Jacksonville and or Duval County. I have actually, as I indicated in my opening, I have saved the city substantial amounts of money and the taxpayers' money. And I think this is the direction we need to go, and we need to be more vigilant in this effort. But you need good leadership as well as 9 other council people that can buy into your program.
Much has been said about economic incentive programs. What is your position on these programs that many call corporate welfare?
Well, I don't think it's really corporate welfare, and I think that's a misnomer. What we do, in most all the cases that I'm familiar with, we give them rebates. We actually incentivize them to come to Jacksonville, and a perfect example is GE. Manufacturing is very good to bring manufacturing jobs to Jacksonville. We do give, the state gives them money, and we do too. Until they perform on employment and other rules and regulations, they actually have to give us the money, and after they meet the certain criteria, we do rebate certain amounts of money back to them. And I think this is a good way to bring good, solid businesses to Jacksonville, as well as develop some areas that need to be developed. And you can see the dynamic change that's happening in Brooklyn, just west of the city. With a few incentives, that area over there has been blossoming, and I think this overall is going to be good for Jacksonville and the tax base of Duval County.
Would you support or oppose any ordinance bestowing special rights on certain groups of people?
I've been asked this question other than the Tea Party multiple times. My position is we should have an ordinance that does not discriminate against anybody. We should be neighborly. We should be respectful for everybody, and as long as you give respect, you get respect. And I don't think we should have a special ordinance specifically for anybody. And I think that we should, as a community, live up to what we have on a national basis. All people are created equal, and we should believe and institute a policy to be respectful for others, and we don't need a special ordinance for any specific group.
What do you think of the plan to convert certain Duval County roads to toll roads?
That's not going to happen. It won't happen. The state does implement, they have great discretion, but in Duval County, we are not going to implement any toll roads. What we do need to do, though, is prioritize the budget to make sure that we are repairing, repaving, and renourishing both my roads in Mandarin as well as sidewalks. And I think this is my priority, has been my priority, and will continue to be my priority in my next term. Thank you once again, First Coast Tea Party, for allowing me to speak. And as I have many town hall meetings 3 or 4 times a year, I enjoy questions from the constituents of Mandarin, and please do not hesitate ever to call me if there's an issue that you have with government or lack of response. Thank you very much. Matt Schellenberg, City Council, District 6.